All right, welcome to the webinar. Just going to wait for some more people to trickle in here. Maybe in the chat, if you could post, where are you tuning in from? And what time is it there? Always curious where everyone is. And just FYI, I'm looking down here at the chat because this screen is being shared. So not ignoring you, just checking out the chat. Argentina, nice. Also, if it's really late where you are, like 3 a.m. and you're falling asleep, we're going to send out the recording. So don't be tired tomorrow to try and tune in. We will send the recording. Vancouver, Canada, Guadalajara, Mexico, Germany, Manchester, LA, Chicago, Dublin. Wow, all over the place. This is awesome. Give it another few minutes to see if some more people tune in. More Canadians. Maryland, Quebec City, Orange Beach, Alabama. 3 p.m. Argentina. That's nice. 3 p.m. is good. Better than 3. And it's 2:02 a.m. Valerie, okay. I'll try and make it interesting as possible to keep you awake there. Montreal, Madison. All right, so I see 67 people watching. I'm going to give it another couple of minutes here. The webinar is scheduled for 1 hour, but I don't think we're going to hit that. So we can wait a couple of minutes here. Let some others join, and then we'll kick it off. We've got about 20 or so minutes of show and tell time, and then we'll take some questions. 71. No, wait till it's 75. Seattle, Saudi Arabia. Wow, this is really a worldwide audience. Broadcasting globally. I can put that on my LinkedIn. Broadcast globally. Austin, Texas. Okay, I think I'm going to get started. So my name is Nick Simard. That's my face on the screen and my other face over here. I'm a user advocate at Browse AI. I live on the marketing team, but I work closely with product and engineering and customer success to make sure our users get the very best experience. And we've got Artie joining us also, the founder and CEO of Browse AI. I'll let him pop on real quick to say hi.
Hey everyone, so excited to hold this webinar. Yeah, thank you all for joining. My name is Artie. I'm the founder and CEO. I'm also an engineer, and I'm obsessed with user experience data. So you can imagine that I'm working on my the dream product, which involves a ton of data. Just obsessing about how to reduce the number of clicks you're going to make, and trying to make your life a tiny bit easier. Yeah, thank you, Nick.
Yeah, of course. All right, I will make myself a bit smaller down here and move on. So in this webinar, we're going to cover a quick overview of web scraping, very briefly, an introduction to Browse AI for those who may not be familiar, a demo using a simpler example, something not too complicated, a demo with a bit more complexity, some use cases and examples to show what other people are using Browse AI for, and then Q&A at the end, and then we'll do a little wrap up. So very briefly, what is web scraping? Simply put, it's the extraction of data from a website. That's the basics of web scraping. And once you have scraped that data, you can send it somewhere more useful to yourself, like a spreadsheet or a database or an API. It doesn't just have to live in Browse AI. And why is it important for businesses? Well, there's tons of data out there, and getting access to the right data at the right time can be a huge competitive advantage. Historically, collection of that data has been expensive, it's taken a long time to do, and it's almost impossible to scale. That's where Browse AI comes in. So the mission of Browse AI is to democratize access to information on the internet, It's a lofty goal, but we're well on our way. And it started in 2020 when Artie started the first missing piece, an easy and affordable and reliable way to extract and monitor data from the web at scale. And in 2021 was the first public launch. So we're a few years in now. Browse AI in a nutshell, if this is your first time introduced to Browse AI, we're trying to make it so that anyone can train a robot by simply pointing, clicking, and naming the data they want to extract. It's all visual, and there's absolutely no code needed. Browse AI is trusted by teams at some of these companies. You no doubt recognize the logos. Maybe some of you work at these companies. We have over 420,000 users, and just since January of 2023, there have been 6.8 billion records extracted. 6.8 billion, and that's only January 2023. So there's a lot of data flowing, and it's a good signal. People are wanting to use tools like Browse AI. I won't make you sit through all the fades of each one of these things coming in. I'll let you absorb this for a second while I take a sip. To highlight a few of these, scripting with no code using AI is one of the big advantages. You can do bulk runs of 50,000 robots at once. It emulates human interactions, so it does what you would be doing. We can solve CAPTCHAs. Browse AI, it auto adapts to site layout changes. You can learn it in 5 minutes. There's no setup fees. Extract data on a schedule. It really is quite a powerful tool. So the first use case we're going to go through is jobs. Jobs postings is a very common use case, LinkedIn being one of those websites. So we're first going to search for jobs on LinkedIn using specific criteria in a given region. And then we're going to train a robot to extract the data that we're looking for. And then finally, we're going to create a monitor that runs on a schedule to do that automatically for us. So let me get set up here with this demo and we'll get moving. I'm going to take myself off the screen for this, and yeah, you don't need to see my face. I'll be doing the demo. If you go to linkedin.com/jobs, it'll ask you to sign in. But if you start on linkedin.com and then click on jobs, you don't have to sign in. Quick little trick for you. So we'll search for social media managers in the United States and press enter. Now, this list down here on the left is what we're after. So I'm going to first copy the URL up here, then go over to build a new robot and paste that in. When we do so, you'll notice there's some pre-built robots being suggested down here. They're a great starting point, but because we're building it ourselves, I'm not going to use these for now. I don't need to log in, so I won't check this box. And let's start training robots. The Chrome extension has historically been how people use Browse AI, but Robot Studio is new and the future, so we'll use Robot Studio. All right, when this finishes loading, you're going to see something pretty neat happen. It's going to save us a bit of time if we wanted to. So the robot begins scanning the page. You can see the status on the right here to see if it can find a data set to recommend. Now, we are not going to use this one because we're building it ourselves, but let's take a look at what it provides us. So we'll open it up down here. All right, it's named the list, job listings. It's got job title, company name, location, hiring status, posted time, job URL, company logo, company URL. This looks pretty good. I would probably keep this if I wasn't doing a demo, but let's create our own data set instead. All right, so we'll click up here on capture text, and then I want from a list. And when I come over here and hover, you'll see that different things show up. We want it to show all the list items properly, so we'll click here, and I'll click on each of the data fields I want, one by one. Take visible text of this, I'll click again, get the link, and then I'll get the location, and the status, and the date posted. Let's do the company logo, image URL, and then the link to the job itself. Now we press enter or click confirm over here, and we start naming our data points. So here we've got job title, company URL, location, status, posted, company logo, and no, job URL. Okay, now we take a look at the data preview. Name this jobs, and we've got all these titles, all these columns here, just like before. And when I click into them, you can see that I can remove a column. So that one's gone. And let's click into this one and maybe call it date posted instead. And the rest looks good. So down below, you'll see the maximum number of rows to extract. I happen to know that 60 is the number of jobs that show up there. So I'll click that, enter, and no more items to load. I don't want any pagination. So just those first 60. And let's save the captured list. Once the list has been saved, I can hover over the items on the right here and delete them if I want. So I could get rid of this one and see, it is now gone. Let's collapse this again. And I do want a couple more pieces of data from this website. So I'm going to click on capture text, but this time just text. I want social media managers. I want the role that was searched for, the location, and the number of jobs. So click enter and then just name these. Role searched. Location searched. And number of jobs. All right, now we've got captured texts and the jobs list. So let's save captured texts and finish recording the robot here. Now we'll give this robot a name and save. All right, this robot is going to run in the cloud, emulate our actions. If you come up here, you'll see 10 credits per task, includes 99 list items. That is the cost to run this. And you'll see here the list items are going up. It shows you that it's being captured. I think we're almost done here. Perfect. All right, we've got those captured texts and we've got the job list down below. Everything looks good. So I will click on yes, looks good down here. Now that's cool and all, but what if we could add a little bit of automation by setting up a monitor? So I want every single day except for the weekend, so just weekdays at, not any time, I want a specific time. How about 12 p.m. local time? And the URL stays the same, keep the jobs the same, and I'll call this SMM check weekdays. I don't want emails to notify me, and we'll click save. You might be asking, how do we see the data? Well, we can go to tables right here in the robots and check out the last run by clicking right here on the eye. And there you go. There's the 60 jobs that we extracted. That is one option. You can also click on export here if you want to export it as CSV, maybe use it offline, or JSON. JSON, tell me in the chat which one's correct. And up here, you've got an option to show historical data or not, meaning that the exact same URL and jobs limit were used. And one more option is to integrate with other apps like Google Sheets, Zapier, webhooks, REST API, Airtable, Pabbly Connect, make workflows, Integrately, so you can send your data elsewhere. All right, before I move to the next example, I'm going to take a quick sip here. All right, for example number 2, we're going to use a website called Redfin. If you're not familiar, Redfin is a website that lets you search for homes to buy or rent, and that's just what we'll do. Search for some homes in a specific area, given some criteria that we add. Then we're going to extract properties as well as property details. In this case, we'll use pre-built robots rather than building them ourselves. This will save us some time, and I can also show you how those work. Next, we're going to create a workflow to connect those two robots together, and we'll also add an integration to Google Sheets. And finally, we'll use tables to import a CSV and do a bulk run. All right, let's get started. So on Redfin here, I've already done a search for Portland, up to 600,000, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. I'd like to extract this list over here. So I'll use a pre-built robot rather than showing you how to build it again. Copy this URL, and from our marketing site, you go to pre-built robots, and I'll scroll down here to Redfin. I want to use the extract list of properties from Redfin. All I need is the URL and to set the number of properties I'd like to extract. I'll choose 10, that's enough for this demo. Next step, get to review it again, and start extracting. While that's going, I'll go over to the single property here, and once again, copy the URL, go back to the pre-built robots for Redfin, and extract property details from Redfin. Once again, all I need to do is click Use this automation, and then I get to paste it. Next step, start extracting. So these two robots will run, just like you saw in the previous example, spin up a new server, emulate all the actions. And once that's finished, I can go over to new workflow here. Call this Redfin Deep Scraping Demo. And I'll click the first robot, which would be Extract List Properties. Click Next. Now I select Robot B. Robot B is the one that extracts property details. And I have to choose which of these items from the first robot is the URL to scrape. And that is called link. Click Next Step. Now I have to decide, do I want the robot to run, the workflow to run always, only if robot A finds changes, only if robot A finds new items, or if robot A finds new or changed items. In this case, I'll just choose always. I'll click Next. Now, when you use the workflow, you do have to set up an integration on Robot B. Make it super easy though. You just got to click on this link. I'll choose Google Sheets since it's a very common use case. And I've already set up my account, but it will look the same as any other time you've created an account or set up using Google. The modal comes up and you choose your Google account. It's very easy. I will create a new spreadsheet. Call it Redfin Portland Homes. You can choose to only sync changes if you'd like. I'll edit the map data mapping here. I'll call this Homes and create spreadsheet and activate integration. So only take a moment. And now I've got this handy link that I can click to open the Google Sheet that got created. Now, rather than run Robot A to kick off the workflow to do Robot B, I've already created some robots and I've already ran through the process. So what ends up happening is a bulk run gets created. That's what happens when you do a workflow. It's called a bulk run. So these 10 items here ended up in this Google Sheet. So this is kind of a fast forward to what we just built would do if we ran through it. But rather than make you sit through that, I did it for you already. Now, speaking of bulk run, you can go to the Tables tab of any robots, scroll down here to Import CSV. When you click on this, you can download a sample CSV that has the columns you need, and then you would input your own data, and then you simply click to upload here, up to a maximum of 50,000 rows. So I'll click to upload, select my CSV, open it, and then it'll show you which URL to use. In my case, there's only one column, so it's obvious, and I'll click confirm and start extracting data. Now I've got some duplicates in there. This button pops up, allowing me the opportunity to remove those duplicates, and I'm going to do that. So you'll see I've got 4,900, click remove duplicates. Now we're down to 4,568. So have no fear of extracting things you don't need because we'll detect those duplicates. And then you click on start extracting data. Once again, I've already done this process in another robot, which you can see here. It gives you the status of the whole bulk run. This is a slightly different amount of records. And I'll click on check on details. And you can scroll down and see all of the tasks that are running, and also how many have finished, how many have failed, again, percentage. So that's a quick and easy way to do a bulk run if you've got a CSV full of URLs you'd like to scrape. And we're back. Okay, so that was a couple of use cases, a couple of ways to use Browse AI. How else are people using Browse AI? So monitoring products and pricing is a big one. Businesses can keep an eye on prices of competitors, for example. Property listings. House hunters can track properties as well as realtors, keeping themselves updated. Job postings, as we showed with LinkedIn or one of hundreds of other websites out there. Government websites, keeping an eye on permits or licenses. Sometimes if you're not there in the first hour, you don't get the thing. So monitoring that is a big one. Member directories. So you can find opportunities to network and collaborate on autopilot by scraping data there. And all these other ones. The fanciness of the automated here animations. Product data, market research, lead generation, market trends, pricing comparison, clinical trials. I mean, there's so much. This is not even all of them. This is just to give you an idea that it goes beyond just what we showed in the demo and beyond even what's probably obvious to you. So time for Q&A. So if you haven't already, in the chat box, there's a Q&A tab. If anybody has questions, we've got some people already here to answer questions, and also we've got another one of my colleagues who's been looking through the Q&A. So let's see what we've got. Was I not on the stage that whole time? I could have sworn I was on the stage. Okay. So was I not on the stage that whole time? I was. Okay. I disappeared for some reason. All right. So time for... Sorry, it's when I try and move slides, it's the same button that apparently takes me off the stage on my other monitor. We're getting there, folks. Okay. So first question, yes, the recording will be emailed. I mentioned that at the very beginning in case you missed it. All right, we got some questions coming in. If Artie sees anything he'd like to tackle.
Yeah, I think I see a few things.
Okay.
So there's one question about credits. How many credits would the first LinkedIn example consume? So the credit system, I can give you the gist of how the credit system works. Most robots would take 1 credit per task, or like for up to 10 records of data that you extract in that task. If you go beyond 10 records, it's like 1 credit per every 10 records. And with LinkedIn and a few other sites, it's like I think 30 or so websites. We have a much higher cost on our infrastructure when we run robots on those websites. So in those cases, we set them up as we basically mark them as premium websites, and in these sites, we don't necessarily charge more credits. We just say, if you want to extract data from this website, there's a higher minimum number of credits that you have to spend. So for example, if you extract 100 records from, like 100 list items from LinkedIn or any other website, it would take you 10 credits. But if you extract 20 list items from LinkedIn, it would still cost you 10 credits because that's the minimum on LinkedIn. But if you extract 20 list items from another website that's not premium, it would only cost you 2 credits. So that's the difference between LinkedIn and most other websites. And if you want to learn more about how the credit system works, we have a few articles on that in the Help Center. Just go to help.browse.ai and search for credits, or ask any other questions that you have here.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Artie. I see a question about, will there be a extension? That's actually where Browse AI started, was a Chrome extension. It's still available. It's still supported, but Robot Studio is the next generation. Maybe Artie wants to tell us what that vision looks like and why the move from the extension to Robot Studio.
Yeah, so we launched about 2.5 years ago, and since then, the browser extension that we had was and we still have it. It's been the primary way for people to train these robots. And then these robots are stored on our cloud servers and are running the cloud. So you can shut down your computer and have your robots run on the cloud and not have to run them on your machine. But something that we noticed was that a lot of people don't want to install another browser extension. Some people at large enterprises are not able to install the browser extension because they have strict security requirements on their machines that prevents them from installing browser extension without going through their infosec team and a long process. And we also noticed that it's really hard to iterate and improve the user experience in the browser extension, because every time we launch a release or we do a release, it has to go through Chrome's review process, Chrome Web Source review process, and that could take days or weeks. So it really slows us down. That's why we came up with a new technology that took us over a year to R&D and prototype, which essentially streams the browser from our cloud server into your Browse AI dashboard. And that's what you just saw in that demo. That we're calling it the Robot Studio. You get to see a browser within your Browse AI dashboard, and you can navigate it to any website you want to extract data from. You also see what exactly the robot is doing. The robot gives you instructions throughout the process. You see a preview of the data you're capturing. So it's a much more user-friendly version of the recording experience, and we're already seeing that with the Robot Studio, about 40% more people are successfully finishing the creation of the robot compared to people who were using the browser extension before. So we're going to deprecate the browser extension, but we're still gonna have it up there, and we're going to use it for certain use cases that, for example, require your session cookies, and you want to record them from your machine and share them with the robot to reuse. In those cases, you might still want to use a browser extension. I hope that I answered that question.
Awesome. Thanks, Artie. Another great question here. How is AI used? The web scraping itself doesn't seem to need AI. Want to answer that one real quick?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things powered by AI in the backend, and that's not just LLMs. It's also just plain machine learning that we're doing for so many little challenges that you run into in these kinds of use cases. And there's also AI recommendations that you saw in that demo, and it basically, we're trying to remove every manual step that you have to take to get to where you want to get using AI, but we haven't. So we have some prototypes that are much more AI heavy and try to automate everything from 0 to 100 for you, but we're not seeing the level of success, that the success rate that we want to see in the beta tests that we do. So for now, we're trying to automate every little step on its own using AI, and then over time we think we can automate the entire process. So as soon as you enter the URL, you're going to get exactly what you want, but it's going to take us maybe a few months or a year to get to that point. We're not there yet.
All right, awesome. Kind of a related question. Any plans to do more complex workflows with multiple steps or workflows within a workflow? I think this is a great opportunity to discuss tables and your vision of what that looks like.
Yeah. So I want some of it to be a surprise. So I'm not going to tell you all the details. But I think in the future of Browse AI, and I'm not talking about years down the road, I'm talking about a few months, tables are going to become a much more prominent component, where you're going to be able to create tables that are not just powered by a single robot. They're going to be powered by multiple robots, and you're going to be able to add conditions and like custom views and so many things that are going to enable you to automate really complex workflows, and basically do something like extract this long list from website A and then enrich that data from these 10 other sources, and then for records that you find with these specific criteria, enrich them with this additional data from this other source. So these workflows are going to be possible. They're on our roadmap. We're just it's just so much that we need to build, and we still have a team that so we don't have a massive team. We're 25 people full time plus a dozen or so in different functions, and we're trying to prioritize one step at a time. So we're going to get there one step at a time, and we're going to have a lot of exciting releases over the next few months.
Perfect. We've got another question here. What do you want to do? What do you do if you want to pull data from chosen products versus all the products on a page in a list? I can take this one. So there's a couple of ways. One is oftentimes on websites, when you click certain filters, it will create a URL that is just as in the Redfin example. If I just want certain things, I can search for it, and then the URL is able to recognize that. Or otherwise, you can record the robot and train it to do those actions for you if there are filters available on that page. If there's no way to on the page filter it, then the robot can't do more than we can do at the moment by clicking on those things. So you'd have to do that after the fact. Does that pretty much explain it, Artie?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay.
There's also a question about support. So if you have a question about a particular website or like any challenges you've run into, yes, you can contact the technical support. We have technical support staff, technical customer success staff in 3 different time zones. That being said, just because of the sheer volume of users that we have, we are so if it is a question that requires a lot of like hands-on involvement to help you resolve it, we would only be able to offer that on paid plans. So on the free plan, we can answer any questions you have, but we wouldn't be able to spend a lot of time manually editing things for you or creating a really like customized workflow for you.
Yeah, glad we answered that one. I work with the support team on a regular basis. They are fantastic. Here's a roadmap question. I don't know how, if you want to take this one, Artie. Do you, in the roadmap, plan to release features that enable automating web actions / macros?
Yeah, so Browse AI is already capable of that. So whatever clicks you make or whatever inputs you fill while training the robot learns from you. And in fact, it turns some of the things you do into dynamic input parameters that you can adjust every time you run that robot. For example, if you, while creating the robot in Robot Studio, if you search something on the website, the keyword that you search becomes an input parameter that you can dynamically adjust every time you run that robot. These are already possible. But we don't do like we don't mention that a lot in our marketing, just because we've seen that there are a lot of use cases that are in the gray area ethically, and we don't want to really focus on them. Where like people want to automate actions on the social media website, like posts or something. We don't want to solve for that. That's not our focus. So our primary focus is data extraction, and in order to extract data, a lot of times you need to interact with the website. So interactions are already possible.
Excellent. A question about, will it be possible to do a web page screenshot as a web script? Yes, that actually is one of the things that happens when you train a robot, is a screenshot is taken. You can also very specifically tell it, where you saw from text, from a list, screenshot is one of those things. So that is one of the things you can have a robot do for you.
Yeah, you can take a screenshot of a part of the page or a specific element on the page or the full page.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's up to you. Yeah.
Anything else you see in the Q&A?
Yeah, I see another interesting question. So how does Browse AI adapt to changes changes over time? So a very common challenge with web automation and web scraping is websites change all the time, especially websites that are like there are big companies behind. And that's one of the things that we've solved for first when we built Browse AI, where as you're training the robot, we're collecting thousands of data points about like every element on the page that we need to click on or extract data from. And we then use all that data to, just like a human would, like if you go to a website you went to yesterday and the interface has changed a bit, you remember what you saw yesterday and try to adapt and try to find out like where things moved and where they went. We essentially do the same thing. So the robot tries to adapt to website changes over time, so that you don't have to do any maintenance, and it just works. Yeah, that's actually like one of the big differences of like using Browse AI versus doing something else or coding your own custom scraping automation.
Perfect. Question about pre-built robots. Can I change the fields that are pre-built? Not at this time. The thing about pre-built robots is we pretty meticulously train those robots and make sure that they work as well as they possibly can with the data points we think are most valuable for people. If you ever encountered a pre-built robot and it wasn't necessarily exactly what you wanted, you could reach out to us and suggest that we add those data points. We're always open to that. Or otherwise, you could train the robot as you saw me do. It's not necessarily difficult. Pre-built robots are a great starting point if you kind of want to see how it works and what comes through.
Maybe now would be a good time to share the feature request form and the bug report form.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a form that you can fill out anytime you want our product team to hear about any feature request or bug report that you have.
Maybe Masood could add that on the back end here.
Yeah, and we're going to add a
button.
link to it probably in the dashboard. We haven't done it yet.
Yeah, good points. So a follow-up question to the chosen products. I have my own list of products I want to monitor and the filter option will not work. How do I extract the data? Want to take that one, Artie?
Sorry, what was the question again?
Sorry. So a follow-up to the question about chosen products. I have my own list of products I want to monitor and the filter option will not work. How do I extract the data?
Okay, so if you have your own set of products that you want to monitor, so I can imagine a couple of different scenarios. One is that, for example, you've added a bunch of products to a shopping cart and you want to monitor those ones. So in that case, I would suggest letting the robot use your session cookies so that the robot sees the exact same shopping cart you see on your machine. And in order to do that, you have to check that checkbox that says the robot has to log in, even though it's not really logging in. But if you check that, then we instruct you to install the browser extension, and the browser extension lets us grab the cookies on that site, which includes your shopping cart information. And then you can train the robot to go to that shopping cart and extract that data or monitor that data. Alternatively, if there are a set of filters that you apply on that site to get to the list you want to monitor, you can train the robot to apply those filters. So you start on that page, you open it in Robot Studio, and then you click on those filters, choose the values that you want, and then as soon as the list of products updates, you capture the data.
That's awesome. Also, if the question was asking maybe about bulk runs, like a CSV import, that might have been one of the ways around it. If you have a specific list that you'd like to go monitor or extract details from, that would be an option as well, if that's what the question meant. Because we have like list pages, list items, and then the details of those things. So it depends which one you're looking for. Our support team can always help you work through those kinds of things.
Yeah, basically, like every time you want to run a robot many times, like tens or hundreds of times or thousands of times, you can use the bulk run feature to upload the CSV with all the input parameters or like different URLs that you want to run that robot on, and you'll have it run on them in a pretty short amount of time.
Awesome. Just looking at some questions here. Trying to pick questions that are maybe most applicable to a large number of people. Some of these are kind of specific or niche. I think our support team could help with that. Maybe we can answer some of these and put them somewhere after the webinar. Is there a super low latency mode so that scraping can be performed in real time?
That's a good question. So there are certain use cases that require that. We haven't really optimized for like really short latency. That being said, on our company plans, where we have customers that are running robots at a massive volume, we work with them to optimize their robots and try to get to the shortest response time that we can. And we've had many cases where, like for example, we have one of the customers that I spoke with recently. They were on their website when a user searches something, they call our API, run a robot with their user's search query, extract the data, and then immediately show that data on their website. And that only takes a few seconds. So that's an example where latency really mattered, and it worked well for them. Sometimes the robots that you create yourself too, like that, they could be optimized automatically, or the pre-built robots are usually very optimized. But yeah, like if none of those options work, then you would have to work with our customer success team to optimize your robot as much as possible.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Artie. Looking through some other, here's an interesting one. Can the platform extract data from files, for example, PDFs posted on a website?
Yeah. Yeah, so we don't. Yeah, our focus is extracting data from web pages. We have considered extracting data from like PDF files and stuff. We also have a feature in beta that like we don't know when we're going to release yet, but it's the ability to capture files, like a PDF file or image file. Yeah, so but our focus is really extracting data from web pages.
Yeah, PDFs are tricky. Even just using a PDF as a PDF is tricky, let alone trying to scrape it. Okay, this is a great one. Some websites have web scraping prevention, such as popping up a dialog if there's any suspicious behavior. Does Browse AI have any features to pass around that?
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons we, like since the day we started working on Browse AI, we wanted to emulate human behavior as closely as we could, because we don't want these users that visit these websites to be to look different from a ordinary person that's using that website, and that's necessary to be able to get to the most accurate data. So yeah, we emulate human behavior. We open that website in a real browser on a cloud server, and we use the most premium residential proxies that we can, using our own proprietary ML system that assigns the most the best fit proxy for that certain use case on that certain date for that specific country. And yeah, and we solve captchas. We do so many things to, yeah, and that has led to many users extracting data so easily that like they tell us that they're like every other solution they tried, they were running into like bot detection issues or captchas and stuff. And with Browse AI, they don't even notice there's any issue like that because it's all handled in the background for you.
So the next time someone says just use Python to do it, it's not that simple. If your use case is very basic, sure, and you want to spend the time coding, but otherwise, that's what Browse AI's bread and butter is. All those things that websites will try and do to make sure you're human. So we're doing our best to emulate that.
Another way that I put it when I'm talking to people is we want to build a really sophisticated product that can overcome any scraping challenges you run into, but at the same time we don't want to put you in a plane's cockpit. Like we don't want to give you 1,000 options to play with. We hide a lot of those options, and we try to it's basically an opinionated product that tries to solve the core web scraping problems for like 98% of users. And we want to keep it that way. So we really focus on an easy to use interface and a really sophisticated backend that can automate as much as possible for you.
Okay, so it's 45 past the hour. I think we're probably good on questions. Anyone's question that was not answered, feel free to reach out to support. And one more thing. How about a promo code? Why not? Use the promo code webinar20 as a special offer for sticking around to the very end here to save 20% on an annual subscription for the first year. And it's valid for the next 48 hours. So thank you so much for your attendance. This has been great. We have another webinar on May 30th. So if you'd like to come back and check it out again, or ask more questions, or send someone you know, say, hey, Browse AI, I checked out a webinar. You should really see this tool in action. Thanks so much. It's been a blast, and we'll send out the recording probably today, maybe tomorrow. If you want to say goodbye, Artie.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, no, like some really awesome questions. I see more questions coming in, but yeah. So please, like, if you have more questions that we haven't answered, feel free to fill out that form that you see the link to on the top right, or you can contact us through our email, contact@browse.ai, or you can write on social media for us. So we're on X, LinkedIn. We're most active on X and LinkedIn. I'm also there if you want to directly ask me a question. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing more from you. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.